I'm Monique Bradley and I'm here at Stamford Plaza in Auckland for a very special event to raise awareness for the 1 in 70 people living in New Zealand with celiac disease, a chronic autoimmune disease that you need to know about. Now, to raise awareness for that, somebody has created the most amazing event. This is Vanessa Bennett you're the chief editor of iMagazine, am I correct?
Magazine.
Excellent. Now, you often support events like this. You ran a beautiful event last year. Charity is close to your heart, right?
Yeah, I think this one was interesting for us because there's not a lot of education on gluten-free and celiac. There's a whole lot of bad diets. There's people that don't respect it. Someone with celiac goes to a restaurant and they get looked at like they're an idiot because the person before them wasn't really celiac.
Yes.
So we want to support the research, and they will eventually find a cure where someone can pop a tablet and the gut will be fixed.
Look, that would be truly incredible. And my understanding is that there's around 60 to 70,000 people in New Zealand with celiac disease, and 80% of that is still undiagnosed.
Exactly, and there's one kid in every classroom that's gluten-free and their mother doesn't know about it.
Serious?
So we're going to have a charity auction, and we're going to listen to a very important scientist from Australia. You'll meet him shortly.
Right.
I won't give it away too much. And he's going to tell you all the research he's been doing.
Excellent. Brett, tell me, what's your personal connection with Coeliac New Zealand?
My daughter is celiac, diagnosed at 18 months in Italy where she was born.
Wow.
And I've been on the board of Coeliac New Zealand for about 10 years.
Right.
And I'm kind of in charge of the dining out program, which is restaurant certification. In New Zealand in particular, it's known a lot more as a gluten-free diet rather than celiac disease itself.
Right.
In those terms, there are a lot of people in New Zealand on a gluten-free diet.
Yes.
Probably about 10%.
Yep.
And about 2 or 3% of New Zealanders are probably have celiac disease, although most of them aren't diagnosed.
Right.
That's a big focus for us in the next year or so, is to get more people diagnosed as.
Tell me about you. You're the General Manager of Coeliac New Zealand. Why did you get into this role?
I have always been interested in how the effect of health and nutrition.
Right.
And I am passionate about helping others, and it's a really unknown issue, celiac disease. And I just felt that my skills I could bring a lot to the role.
Wow.
And being able to work through with a lot of the food manufacturers,
yes,
helping them to educate them about the opportunity of the need to look at safe gluten-free food.
I totally agree.
And also working with our members and really engaging with them and having a community that is actually looking after them for the long term. There's about 1 in 70 have the predisposition, they hold the gene. I mean, it's a really high number.
Yes.
But there's a lot of people that actually aren't aware, and they're still working out why it is that it's increasing. A lot of it is that because up to 40% hold the gene in their body, but it's an environmental.
I didn't realise that.
It's an environmental factor that suddenly triggers the onset. And so you find that some people are diagnosed really early, and others, they could be asymptomatic, so they're not actually aware that this issue is prevalent for them. And there's a situation may occur that they suddenly do realise, and they go to the doctor. It can take, on average, up to 11 years for diagnosis. So
why is that? Is it just because they have to factor out other conditions?
Yeah, there's a number of things like that. The other thing is that because it's an issue of lack of nutrient absorption
in the gut,
because of the villi have been damaged. So symptoms can be really disparate, and as I say, some people aren't classically gastro symptoms, and so it means that somebody may either tolerate a situation for a long period of time.
Yes, like I have. Yeah. Yes, I understand.
And then it takes a period of talking to various doctors. We've done an enormous amount of work. Coeliac New Zealand originated in the 1970s, so there have been awareness campaigns for a very, very long time. But unfortunately, it's still a challenge for us to ensure that actually it's on the radar for both an individual, that perhaps their symptoms are more than just something they should tolerate.
Wow.
But equally, it's our challenge for doctors to make sure that those tests, which actually in the beginning are a really simple blood test to identify whether the genes are present, actually is undertaken. And clearly for a full proper diagnosis, it needs to be the full biopsy. But the initial test is actually one that people can have relatively easily.
Do you have personal experience with celiac disease?
Not me personally, but both of my children both have celiac disease.
Wow.
Yes. So they got diagnosed quite young actually. My son was 2.5 and my daughter probably she was 5 at the time. And we had no idea obviously that they were suffering. Well, my daughter actually had no signs at all, to be fair, nothing.
Wow.
And it was only because my son got diagnosed, they said it was genetic, that she got tested and everyone got tested and they both came back that they were positive for celiac.
Wow, so I know that a lot of people will be watching this stream, particularly parents who may have children who are experiencing fatigue or upset tummies. What did you experience with your children pre-diagnosis?
With my son, we had just moved from London to New Zealand, so we moved overseas, and I just noticed, I mean, second child, you don't run to the doctor with everything. And he just didn't seem to be thriving in himself. He had quite low iron, you know, by the end of every day he had, you know, not much energy and just really pale and didn't seem to be thriving like my daughter was at that age.
Yeah.
And so I was just concerned mother, took him, something's not right. I thought he was allergic to the milk. Anyway, they said he looks really healthy and we have no concerns. And did the test. I'd never heard of celiac disease in my life.
Wow.
And they did the test and it came back positive and his antibodies were off the chart, so high.
Wow, because his body is fighting to heal itself.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so he wasn't absorbing the nutrients, so that's why he was having, and real low iron is a real sign. If you have real low iron levels, it's a sign of celiac.
Wow. My understanding is that you also have low vitamin B12, low vitamin D, vitamin E.
Yeah, because you're not absorbing the nutrients that you should. So your body's trying to, you know, fight everything, and you really don't have the nutrients to do so.
You've just joined the live stream. I'm Monique Bradley for Your Fix TV. We are here at Stamford Plaza in Auckland, raising awareness for a condition that a lot of people don't know they're even living with. We're talking about celiac disease. 60 to 70,000 people living in the country with the disease, 80% of them undiagnosed, and we want to change that. The keynote speaker tonight is the lovely Jason Tyden. Welcome to New Zealand.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the event.
Yeah.
Now, Jason, you're a gastroenterologist. Your specialist area is people living with celiac disease. How did you get into this arena?
Well, I guess when I was training as a gastroenterologist, there were not many doctors looking after people with celiac disease, and it dawned on me that it's really a condition that's common.
Yes.
You know, 1 in 70 New Zealanders are likely to have the disease, but really not a lot of medical knowledge was around at that time, and I had the opportunity to do some research, and the rest is history, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've been doing a lot of great work in Australia. Do you want to share with our viewers what your specialist area is? You're running a health clinic over there as well?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of big problems for people with celiac disease. Getting the diagnosis is a major issue. Many people have struggled for 5 to 10 years or more just to get a diagnosis, and there's a lot of people walking around now who have the diagnosis and don't even know about it. So people can have a whole range of symptoms, and ironically my wife was diagnosed about 1.5 years ago and she had a couple of miscarriages. And
wow,
it's like,
and I believe they're linked, right?
They are linked, but many doctors wouldn't know about that. And it was only because I knew about celiac disease we thought, let's test for it, and she was diagnosed. So diagnosis is a real big issue.
Wow.
A lot of people have gluten-related issues or wheat sensitivity in the community, but don't know what's causing it. So there needs to be better ways to diagnose celiac disease.
Yes.
And now we know that the treatment itself, the gluten-free diet, is quite strict. And it's difficult, and not everybody gets better on a gluten-free diet. So there's a whole lot of challenges for people living gluten-free and with celiac disease. So our research has really been trying to improve the health and quality of life for sufferers.
That's incredible. Now, I want to kind of get a myth out there. So I do a lot of live streams talking about health and talking about wellness.
Yep.
I myself have been diagnosed as being carbohydrate intolerant. I lived with the symptoms of IBS for 25 years. I just thought that was normal, right?
Yep.
And I know that a lot of people who are undiagnosed with an IBD or with Crohn's or with celiacs are in that same boat. So can you explain to our viewers, because I know some of them are on the Coeliac New Zealand page, some are on different channels that we're streaming out through, what's the difference with being celiac as opposed to the symptoms of IBS?
Yeah. So celiac disease is an autoimmune disease. There's a way we can diagnose it with a blood test and a biopsy of the bowel. So we know that it's caused by gluten.
Right.
However, there's a lot of people out in the community who often complain of wheat issues, that bloating, tummy upset, who often it's not gluten that causes that, but it's the carbohydrate in wheat. So that could be exactly like you.
Yeah.
And so sometimes people use the term FODMAPs, which are fermentable carbohydrates, and they're found in foods like wheat, but also dairy products, onion, garlic, so a range of foods. So sometimes people who bloat or feel sick after consuming wheat, it's got nothing to do with celiac disease. And gluten's often blamed as the culprit. So people go gluten-free and feel better, but it's not celiac. So I think it's really important that people speak to their doctor, try to get tested before they go gluten-free.
Yes.
Because once you go gluten-free, the tests don't work very well.
That is so
that's
important to know. I didn't realise that. Thank you so much for clearing that up for me.
Yeah.
So I was speaking with a very famous chef, internationally acclaimed chef, who told me gluten sensitivity is not a real thing. It's just in people's heads.
Yeah.
Would you agree or disagree with that?
So gluten sensitivity probably does exist, but
I like how you answered that. You should be a politician. Right.
The research is very mixed. So when they've looked at people with gluten sensitivity, once you exclude those who don't have celiac disease, the majority of people who thought they were gluten sensitive were actually carbohydrate intolerant. So they had FODMAP issues, and they improved better on a low FODMAP diet as opposed to a gluten-free diet. So I think we need to know more about this condition. There's likely to be a subset of people who are truly gluten sensitive, but most gluten sensitive people are probably sensitive to other things. I definitely don't think it's in the head. People don't make up symptoms because they just want to change to a gluten-free diet. So I think we need to be compassionate and understanding and appreciate these are real symptoms, but we need to use the science to guide us to diagnose them properly so they get the right treatment.
Excellent. So if you have had any concerns with your own health, if you've experienced any of the symptoms we talked about tonight, you guys know what to do. Talk to your GP, get tested. So at least if you can rule that out, you've got peace of mind, right?
Absolutely, and it's just a simple blood test. Yep.
Couldn't be easier. Look, Jason, thank you so much, and thanks for coming to New Zealand for tonight's special event. I hope we raise millions for people living with celiac disease. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.